Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. This video today is actually going to be a German language related video. I know that you guys seem to enjoy these types of videos. I really enjoy making them and I think this is going to be a good one today. I'm going to be sharing with you 5 really awesome German words that don't actually have a direct English translation. These words actually can be translated into English but not in a single word. The German language is an interesting one because in many ways it is extremely difficult and not very logical for non-native German speakers. But on the other hand, it can be very logical, and there's a lot of words in the German language that are just really genius, and words that are quite descriptive and very poetic in a lot of ways. And I have discovered a lot of these words over the time I have been learning the German language, and certain words I'm like, oh my goodness, why don't we have this in English? This would save a lot of time and effort in explaining certain situations if we just had a word like this. So the first word that I've got on my list is a word that I found so unusual when I first heard it. And we've got nothing like this in the English language, and it was just something very unique and just a little bit quirky and just kind of weird. And that word is Ohrwurm. And because I am not a native German speaker, as usual, I'm going to let you hear the Google pronunciation of the word because my pronunciation is far from perfect. So this is how Google pronounces it.
Ohrwurm. Ohrwurm.
Ohrwurm. So in English, this literally translates to earworm, which means nothing to a native English speaker because the word worm and the word ear, they just don't fit together in a sentence. And it actually makes my skin crawl thinking of a worm in my ear. So the actual meaning in German is a metaphor, which means when you hear a song and you just cannot get that song out of your head. And this happens to all of us. I'm sure this has happened to everybody. And it was quite funny because my little girl Amelia, she had a nursery rhyme in her head when she was little. And I remember my husband saying, oh, she's got an earworm. And I was like, what on earth are you talking about, an earworm? And then he said, oh, you don't use earworm in English? And I was like, no. And he explained to me what it actually meant in German. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so the next German word that doesn't have a direct English translation is Weltschmerz. And so this is how Google pronounces it.
Weltschmerz.
Okay, that sounds better. Weltschmerz. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that 100% correctly. So in English, this literally translates to world pain, which doesn't really make sense in the English language, but in German this is like a metaphor for when you feel this intense pain inside for the state of the world. Well, that's how I would explain it. And so, for example, a lot of bad things are going on in the world. There's hunger, there's war, there's climate change, there's all sorts of crazy things going on, and a lot of people feel very deeply and it affects them very deeply. And this is just a really amazing word in my opinion. I feel it deeply, when I turn on the news and I see what is happening to our beautiful world, people suffering, pollution, what's happening to our planet. It hurts me and I feel it deeply. And I think that Weltschmerz is just such a wonderful way to describe this feeling. We don't have a word like this in English. I'm trying to think. I guess you could say world pain, but I don't think it has the same impact. And I don't think that people would really know what you're talking about if you said world pain. But in German, people will know exactly what you're talking about. And it's just a word with a lot of impact. And it's got just a really deep meaning. Okay, so the next German word that doesn't have a direct English translation is Zugzwang. And I don't know if I was pronouncing that completely correctly. So this is how Google pronounces it.
Zugzwang.
Zugzwang. So I've actually put this into Google Translate and there literally is no English translation. It doesn't come up with anything for the English translation. So the translation of Zugzwang is when you feel this immense pressure and stress about making a very important decision. So from what I've actually read, this word is originally used to describe the feeling that a chess player may have felt when they had to make a really important decision, like make a move that would determine the fate of the whole chess game. I think for me personally, a good way to describe Zugzwang is when I had to make the huge decision of whether I was going to move back to New Zealand or stay in Germany. And for me, that was a really stressful decision. I felt a lot of pressure and stress in making that decision because I knew that whatever decision I made was going to hugely impact my life. I don't know whether that's a good way to explain it. If you're German and you're watching this, maybe you can tell me whether that is the right explanation of the word. But basically in English, we don't have one single word that explains and describes this feeling, and I think this is just such a cool German word. Okay, so the next German word that doesn't have a direct English translation is Torschlusspanik. And this is how Google pronounces it.
Torschlusspanik.
Torschlusspanik. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And this directly translates in English to last minute panic. And so that's 3 words to describe one German word. Last minute panic, I don't know if you would use that in English, but in German this is a word that I'm pretty sure is used quite regularly. I don't know whether it's used on a daily basis, but I don't think it's an unusual German word. So for me, the way I would describe Torschlusspanik is when you are running out of time and you feel this panic inside that you're running out of time and you can't reach your goal because of, you know, a time limit. I don't know whether I'm explaining that very well. Just say maybe like on kind of a deeper level, I think a lot of women, when they get to sort of around the age of 30, they start to feel this panic, like my biological clock is running out, I need to get married, I need to have kids. Not all women feel like this at all, but I think some women do have that feeling of, you know, my biological clock is ticking, I need to hurry up and have kids or it's going to be too late. And I think on a less kind of deep level, you could say like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna miss my train. I have to get to a place at a certain time and I'm gonna miss my train. And you're like racing to get there and you don't think you're gonna make it. So let me know if you think that was a good explanation of this word. I think it's an awesome word. It's so amazing that you can just use one word to explain this feeling. And in English, we don't have any word like that. So I think that's really cool. I really love this word. Okay guys, so last but not least, this German word I think is just so hilarious and so unique. And this does not have an English translation at all. And this word is Honigkuchenpferd. I probably completely butchered that. So this is how Google pronounces it.
Honigkuchenpferd.
Honigkuchenpferd. That's the best I can do, I'm sorry. And so this actually means, let me have a look here because this is such a bizarre English meaning. So this actually translates in English to horse-shaped honey cake, which means absolutely nothing. It's like gibberish. And it's really crazy to me that this is actually an official word in the German language. And what it actually means is when you feel extremely embarrassed, like when you do something and you just feel like you want to like curl up and disappear because you're so embarrassed. You know, you just like don't know how to act and you turn bright red and you just don't want to be in your own skin. That's how I would best describe this word. Oh my gosh guys, I have been in this situation so many times since living in Germany, especially during the process of learning the German language. I will go to explain something in German and it comes out completely wrong and I end up sounding like an idiot, and I just feel so incredibly embarrassed that I don't know where to look or turn, and I just don't want to be in my own skin in that moment. And I think this is such an awesome word because it's just very descriptive and we don't have anything like this in English. So anyway guys, that is all I've got for this video today. I had so much fun with this video. I love making videos like this. I am so fascinated by the German language. I think there are so many cool German words and I love learning new German words. Also, I just wanted to say, if you feel that you may have a better explanation for any of the words I mentioned in this video, then feel free to correct me in the comment section below. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I would love you to consider subscribing to my channel. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!